All right, so Kenny Cummins is here, and I'm happy. I'm excited to be joined with my friend all the way from the Pacific Northwest. Randy Zellers is joining me right now, man. Good to chat with you, man.
Hey, yeah, it's good. Hey, it's good to be on the show. Thank y'all for having me.
Appreciate you. Before we go any further, let's talk a little bit about how's everything coming along for you during these quarantine times that we are in.
Well, I'll tell you this much: it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. Trying to get venues and trying to limit people of coming in and watching our show. We would so our coming up show, we have to go to our neighbors in Idaho where you can actually have social gatherings there. The last show that they had, Northwest Pro, they had a mixture of wrestling and car racing over at the racetrack. And since the racetrack got shut down for some reason, we are actually going to be performing at a bar. And our special guest with us is not only the legend, WWE legend, and he was one half of the tag team, the Oriental Express, Pat Tanaka.
Okay, that's awesome. So it's taking some time for certain places, certain states to like reopen and everything. But at least there's some,
Yes.
at least some wrestling shows that I've seen from some friends are getting back to the swing of things, getting some sort of normalcy. So that is encouraging to hear.
Yes. And the last show that they had Impact star Larry D.
I'm familiar with that name. He's from my neck of the woods here
Yeah.
in Kentucky.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're very, very proud of him. Shout out to Larry, doing incredible things. And while he's doing competing for Impact, he's still training the next generation of wrestlers. So he's doing his part to keep things going. So props to him.
Yes, yes, he is very entertaining on TV. I'll tell you what. I was just sitting up there watching him yesterday, and he just has that all three package. He has the charisma, he has the drive. The guy has it. The guy has it. It's just got to take the right people to promote him, to elevate him to that main event spot, which I can see him doing that.
Very, very true. So Impact Wrestling, from what I've been seeing these last few weeks, they have definitely done a good job as far as bringing new faces in, keeping things interesting, and
Yes.
I feel like through the ups and downs they've had in the past few years, it feels like they're on the right track, even through a pandemic.
Yes. Yes, they're really doing it good. AEW is really stepping their stuff up. And man, WWE has actually been getting up there. But I mean, the NXT brand, that's the brand to watch.
Pretty much, it's their bread and butter. Uh,
Yep.
Ratings have been going down for Raw and SmackDown, and I guess
Yeah.
and I guess maybe I'm a bit shocked given that not much has been on TV these last 5 6 months. So you would think maybe more eyes will see it since a lot of shows haven't been on or haven't been filmed or anything. But I guess that just
Yeah.
tells you that maybe they just step their game up a little bit more, perhaps. I don't know.
Mhm.
So I don't know. That's just my take on that. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, because I sit up there. I mean, binge watch like the Cobra Kai series, which that's a good. That's a good show. I would recommend that show to anybody.
Pretty much. That's definitely
Yeah.
must watch. Uh, so Wendy, I've known you through mutual friends or mutual friend for that matter, Sun Guy. Shout out to
Yes.
him. So before I go further with him, I mean from your side, how did you get started as a wrestler?
Actually, how I got started as a wrestler, I remember one time me and a couple of people were just driving around, just cruising around. I had a Jeep at the time, and a friend of mine asked me, "Hey, can we stop at this little gas station here? I need to get a pack of cigarettes." I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we pulled in to the gas station. Lord behold, I see a advertisement for Snoqualmie Championship Wrestling. That's where I first started, and the advertisement was Raven. I was like, "Oh shoot, Raven's coming to town!" And so me and a couple of my buddies, cousins, we all just went to go check it out. All of a sudden, I met my first promoter, and I went and I approached him, and I was like, "Hey, how can I get into this?" And he was like, "You really want to get into it?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "All right, well, our next show, be one of our security guards." So I started out as a security guard, just help setting up the ring and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, I got curious about the ring, and so I jumped in and took my first bump, and everything else is ancient history, man.
Quite the journey. Quite the journey
Yeah.
indeed. People got whatever path you take, you make the most of it. You learn as much as you can from the veterans, from those that's been there a few months in. It's no matter if you're just getting started or you've been in the ring for a long time, you can always learn more. That's all. That's the one thing I hear from wrestlers every day.
Oh yeah, you're always going to learn. Oh yeah, I mean, it don't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you wrestled for 10 years or 20 plus. You're always going to learn something new. And it depends on the wrestler too, because if you accept someone's advice or you accept that new what someone else is teaching you, yeah. If you take it and you learn it and it's benefiting you, take it. Run with the football with it. I mean, yeah, because yeah. I mean, when I first started training, man, it was pretty. I mean, it was pretty intense. And I remember one time, one of our other trainers by the name of Mark Ferguson, he had us doing drills like one person runs back and forth in the ring, and the other one runs, north and south, east and west. And by the time we all got done, one of the guys I was getting trained threw up, and Mark was like, "Ha ha ha ha! Yes, that was my main goal, was to make somebody puke."
Mm.
And to tell you the truth, I mean, to me, if you puke, it's not a sign of weakness, even though a lot of other trainers would think that's weakness. But, I mean, hey, he puked and he kept on going.
That's the thing, if this was like a movie or a TV show, director yells cut, we're going to try that again, or we'll get back in a few
Yeah.
minutes. But in wrestling, that's not the case. There's no director. Y'all just go out there and perform. Whatever happens, happens. And
Yep, exactly.
y'all keep going until that bell rings. So
Yep, exactly. And for Sign Guy and how I first met him, I remember I went up to him and I said, "Hey, my name is Young I Am," because that was my first gimmick, was Young I Am, because my first match, I was trying to get a hold of my hairdresser, because at that time I had my hair in braids and cornrows, and I couldn't get a hold of my hairdresser. So I said, should I wait on? So I wait on my hairdresser, Miss Carolyn. Should I wait on her, or should I just go to the venue? So I just said, I'll just go to the venue. Came in here with this big old afro. I had my black power pick too, just picking my hair out, and two other high caliber wrestlers by the name. One was Aaron Bolo, and he actually wrestled a match on SmackDown against Drew McIntyre, and the other guy was Kellen Race, because my promoter at the time, he was like, yeah, well, we gotta figure out a name for you. And I was like, because at first he wanted to name me Puma, but Aaron caught that and he was like, can't go by Puma. Someone else was wrestling by that name. Did not know it was Ricochet. That was Prince Puma or something like that.
Yeah.
Math wrestler. Yeah. And so and I was telling Aaron, I was like, well, shoot, I was listening to some Black Eyed Peas on the way over here, too. It was nice. And then someone else was like, Young, you look like you're in Young I Am. I was like, Young I Am? Okay, I'll run with it. And immediately, instantly, I got over just with the name alone. It didn't, my first match, yeah, it was a squash match. And it was against a guy named J.B. Luce. And a whole bunch of other people thought I was going to die. And I was like, well, how come? Well, J.B. Luce is green. I was like, oh, great. Thanks, guys, for telling me. Thank you. I could have gotten hurt, but I didn't, thank God. But as time went on, I got put into another gimmick called Little Boo Boo, which I didn't like that gimmick, but I didn't like the name, didn't like the gimmick, but I cooperated and went with it anyways. Got over. So and after that, I remember I just had my old Taekwondo gi. So one time at this other venue, I went and I slapped that on. And I still hold a black belt in Taekwondo. So I just went out there, did my match, came back out, and all of a sudden someone else was like, now I know what we can call you, the black belt Randy Zellers. And I'm like, bro, I only did that because I forgot my singlet at home. That was the only reason why I put into that gimmick. And actually, there was a little funny story about that, because actually Stein guy was involved in this match. I was supposed to be this bad heel, because you know how like faces and heels, you know how all the heels be jumping up on all the heels would jump up on one baby face.
Right.
Well, it was reversed. I was the heel getting my ass kicked every single night. I was like, wait a minute, ain't I supposed to be beating y'all up? Nope, boop boop boop, not today. Oh man, those are some good times. I have to tell you, that was some good times. I had good times, then I had bad times in wrestling. And I had them all right times.
Pretty much, you're gonna have all sorts of. You're gonna go through the ups and downs. But for what I've heard, it's all about the journey that goes along with it. Just getting the fans' reaction, and then when they go home at night, they be like, "Yo, I enjoyed that show," and react to it on social media. So you get that reaction from the fans, then it's pretty much worth it. So Randy, I want to go back because you sent me a message, I think last week. As I was doing some researching and everything. And let's go.
Mhm.
Let's go back to October of 2016. Northwest Pro
Ah,
Wrestling. That was a match that you was a part of, and you went on to win a championship. That was definitely a highlight of yours. Go if you can go back to that moment. How did you feel going into that show, and how did you feel when you won that championship?
wow. Well, at first, it was a four-way match against myself, um, the Mass Juggalo, Jarrett Savage, Kickin' Nick, and Rook, and the dynamic Rook Kelly. And throughout that match, we didn't know who was going over or nothing like that. And it was a four-way elimination. I mean, I was just hyped up. I was ready to go. I was like, whatever happens, happens. All of a sudden, it just came down to me and Rook. And Rook, I have to hand it to Rook Kelly. Rook Kelly is one awesome wrestler, no doubt about it. But that night, when I pinned Rook Kelly 1, 2, 3, the back of my head, I wanted to do the sea walk. I wanted to break dance. I wanted just to, man, I was just so happy that at that time that I got a guaranteed title shot. And then when I went back to the dressing room, I get I get tapped on the shoulder and was like, hey, when we give you a cue, we're gonna put your music on. You run out there. I was like, oh, I'm running out there. Am I cashing in? Is this a joke or something? And no, they didn't play a joke on me. And actually, I was really surprised when I ran down there when Chuck Payne won both, regained his heavyweight title and just new Washington State title. I ran down there and I told Ken, hey, I'm cashing in. And Chuck was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And J.D. Mason comes right behind him, nails him with a chair. I hop in the ring quick, and I just went, ran to the ropes, gave him a big splash, when the referee said 1, 2, 3. I was so shocked, and I was shocked. I was more happy that throughout my journey, that was the second singles title that I have won. But yet, when all the kids were around me that night, I felt like Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah.
Like when all the kids surrounded me and started jumping around me. But one thing that actually made me sad about that was because my daughter wasn't with me. But that's because, my daughter was with her mom and stuff like that, and it was their time. So but when my daughter came back, and I was like, hey, Kaya, guess what I got to show you? And she was like, what? When I showed her the belt, she was like, oh my, like the look on her face, that just said it. That just said it right then and there. She brought it to her, she brought that belt to her class actually for like a little bit of show and tell. Yeah, that there made me proud.
And I'm pretty sure the kids were all over that championship that day. Like,
Oh,
wow.
Oh, that day, yeah, I was letting them all touch it. I mean, I was getting pictures with all these kids holding the belt. Even grown ups too, the ladies, everybody wanted the picture with the champ and with the belt. And now I actually got to feel what all the rest of the wrestlers felt like. You feel like you're on cloud nine. You feel like that. I rated that moment when I got my high school diploma to a championship that actually mattered in the Pacific Northwest. And throughout that time, I was defending that belt. I defended it in Port Orchard a bunch of times. I defended it in Bremerton, what my hometown in Bremerton is. Yeah, Bremerton. I defended it in Spokane a lot of times, and also defended it at the Key Peninsula Civic Center a lot until I lost it. Yeah, and actually, I ended up winning that title again, and it was more like someone else distracted the champ, and I just went right behind him, gave him a belly-to-belly suplex, and pinned him 1, 2, 3, and a couple other folks kind of said that was kind of like a Kevin Owens and Goldberg match. I was like, yeah, that kind of was. And then my daughter was actually there. She came into the ring, and I was down on one knee, and we hugged in the middle of the ring, and that there had a good crowd reaction.
Definitely a heartfelt moment winning the second time, and the daughter was there to celebrate with you. Celebrating with the fans is always cool. It's always a good thing. All over you, sweating after like 20-some minute match, but to have the daughter there in person, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, I've loved this sport ever since I was like 3 or 4. When I remember the first time I started watching wrestling, I just see a ring. I mean, I didn't know what the promotions was at that time. Like with us kids, all you knew was like people like Andre the Giant, Ric Flair, Kevin Sullivan, Hulk Hogan, Dusty Rhodes. If you knew some of the key component wrestlers, you was good, but there was a lot more other people to watch. I was a big mark back in the day for Junkyard Dog, because just how he connects with the crowd, and he plays to the crowd to his advantage. And yeah, when all the kids got to go up in there and do the juke with him. Oh, that was just classic.
Gotta love the juke.
Oh yeah.
It's Junkyard Dog. He added some flavor. That was like one of the first wrestlers I watched that just had a little wiggle to him. Just groove with it. Just smooth in that ring. Be physical, but can also have some fun at the wrestler's expense. He was fun to watch.
Yeah, because with me, I love entertaining the crowd. But Junkyard Dog, hands down, he had that X factor. But and back in them days, they didn't believe in putting a belt on any of the black wrestlers except for tag team at that time. Heck, and there was and back in them days, there was some actual tag teams that defined tag team wrestling, like like Harlem Heat, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express. Those were like one of those, like Ricky Morton. Like Ricky Morton, that was like he didn't take no crap from anybody.
Nope.
He didn't care if he wasn't no 6 foot or nothing, but he would damn sure he can put you on your butt.
Yeah, they still wrestling to this day. They were at AEW for a tag team
Yes,
appreciation night, and
I saw that.
FTR, they brought it to him. Unfortunately, so much for respecting your elders or elderlies.
Yeah, and I straight was like, damn. Yeah, because FTR. Come on, man, you can't just be beating up on them fools like that. Because I looked at it like this. Well, they gonna recover. They gonna come after that ass.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't making fun of them because they old or nothing.
No.
Because there's some people I wouldn't mess with today because they will come back. They will come back, and there was former recent NWA tag team champions too.
Yep.
Yeah. And NWA Power, I really liked that show too. I really did because they just started from the basics. They just started from the basics and just like with today now, you don't really need to do much to get yourself on YouTube or to get your actual product, seen by the world.
Right.
Oops, excuse me. Yeah, but man, did you sit there and you Lynn pay-per-view?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I remember, me and a whole bunch of my wrestling brothers and sisters, we all piled up in the hotel room. I was the only one that bought all in, so we all just sit there, crowded around, splitting our eyes, just watching. Just watching because I was the only one that had it. So I was like, dang, because I tried to hook up my Roku device to one of the TVs, but you know how hotels are, motels and hotels, they kind of block that so you won't be doing that.
Yeah, they frowned upon that. They like we got the channels. You gonna watch them. Don't bring that Roku or any other device, unless you're gonna plug it to your internet or whatever. And if you do that, we're gonna charge you for that too.
Yeah, because I'm like, dang. So if I want to take my kid out of town, she can't bring her PlayStation.
Oh, those were the days. Like when I be with my family and we go out of town and I try to get some PlayStation in, even if it's like 20, 30 minutes, especially when it's late at night and they go to bed, like my mom, dad, my sisters go to bed, and I'd be the only one up playing some PlayStation, probably some WCW versus NWO Revenge.
Yes.
Sneak that in there. And that's some good times. Randy, it was great to chat with you, man. We almost a half an hour, man. I appreciate you being on. Thank you for the chat. I'm happy to see things are looking good for you, and hopefully more places will be reopening and wrestling shows will get to resume even more in your areas.
Heck yeah.
So, and once these shows are back up, please support your favorite local independent wrestling promotions. They definitely gonna need the support now that when some places are starting to reopen again. So please, if you are able to, Go out there and support. These promotions are going to do what they can to make sure that everybody is safe, distant from each other, and if you feel comfortable and you feel like you're not at risk with the COVID-19, go out there and support these shows. Continue success, Wendy, and let's chat again soon.
Oh, yes, definitely, my man. Hey, happy to have you, man.
Appreciate you, man. You enjoy the rest of your day.